So I am a love and communication coach, and I created that title myself after realizing that through all of the healing work and stuff that I did, I started my own healing journey when I was 21. I took a course by a company called Landmark Education, and I ended up working with Landmark. A lot of people know of Landmark and stuff, but that's where I began my own journey. For 16 years, I worked with that company. I was on staff. I assisted thousands of hours. I took over 900 in course hours in training and stuff. So I'm deeply trained in Landmark's technology, but then also I left there and I went and I started doing all the different modalities of healing. So that was my own journey. The love and communication title came because when I was standing on the beach in Miami, when I was like 30 years old, I'm standing there talking to my mom on the phone, and all of a sudden I was like, what am I doing? Like, what is this that my soul is calling me to do this, to help people? And she's like, I think you're a life coach. And I said, that's not what it is. I was like, what does that even mean? I said, you know what it is? I said, I'm a love coach. That's what it is. I'm a love coach. And I just started bawling. I just started sobbing. And that's how you know if you're on track with your own purpose, is if you emotionally get hit like that, like a freight train, then you're on the right track. It will stop you in your tracks. I stood there bawling my eyes out, realizing, oh my God, I just had a revelation. What's happening is that I'm actually learning how to love myself. Everybody says it vaguely, like, oh yeah, love yourself, blah, blah, blah. Like, everybody knows, do you love yourself? Yeah, of course. Like, all these things when I was growing up. But no one actually taught me how to do it, showed me how to do it, what that actually meant in freaking fine detail, in every moment, every day, of what it meant to actually learn how to love myself. So I stood there crying, having this massive epiphany. And then a week later, I was like, communication. I'm a love and communication coach. The reason is because communication is the tool, it's the vehicle that actually makes self-love and romantic love and life work and everything possible. If you don't know how to communicate, and it's not just words, it's not just about words you say, it's about listening, learning how to listen. It's about the energy, it's about picking up on what someone's saying, what they're not saying. Listen, are you living from love or fear in every moment in your communication? Are you being misunderstood? Are you feeling misunderstood? There's so many different layers to it. It's just like communication is an art form that is like learning jazz, music. It's like becoming an amazing artist, a painter or something. It never ends, Becoming a good communicator is a lifelong process that just never ends. And it's so fun once you actually get committed to becoming a good communicator. And as a man, we're notoriously known for being not good communicators, terrible communicators. And so it was all the light bulbs went on. I was like, oh my God, I'm learning how to love myself, which I didn't know was even a real thing in the way that it became a tangible, actual real thing. And then learning how to communicate effectively with everyone around me so that my life actually works and functions in a really profound way. So that was the realization that I had that rocked me to my core. And then I've been doing it ever since. I'll be 50, so 34, like 20 years now.
That is a great journey.
Mm-hmm.
20 years is a long time.
Yeah.
Having spent a lot of time around you, I've come to see that even despite when it's like people gravitate towards you and they instantly start telling you their life story,
mm-hmm.
and they want to stay in touch with you, they want to get your number, find you on social media, and keep the dialogue going. They're just compelled to start talking about their life and unpacking stuff.
Yeah.
But there seems to be like this hesitancy to actually dig in and commit to the work and actually like hire you and start the process with you formally.
Yeah.
What do you think the barrier is? Like, what's keeping them hinged?
Well, it's, first and foremost is that if someone wants to work with me, the same way like when I was taking courses and stuff, you're basically, that you're about to face all your own shit. And that's not, I mean, a lot of people aren't ready to face their own shit. So they just go, that sounds great, but I'm not really ready to actually do it for real. And so it's like one of two things. People are either like, I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. I'm just done. I'm done suffering and like beating my head against the wall and all of the things. And I want something different and I'm ready, and they're excited and they're like, here you go. Here's the money. I'm ready. Let's rock. Let's do this. That's one person. That's one type of client I have. The other ones are that are like, oh, that sounds awesome, blah, blah, blah. But I don't know, this, that. Like they want a million questions, but they don't, they're like, what's the process specifically? How is this going to work exactly? And can you tell me all the details? Like all these things, right? All these different hesitancies, which is also okay, except that usually the very thing that they're trying to accomplish or have a breaking through with Brad, is that the very thing that's going to stop them from doing it, right? It's the very fear that's going to come up that's going to stop them from actually pulling the trigger and paying me. And the moment when the work starts, the second someone has the courage to actually pay me, even if it's $1, any money exchange, the second someone goes, here's money toward myself, it starts. The energy, it shifts, boom, automatically. It's that moment the commitment happens. So it was the same way when I was taking programs, when I was signed up and I would be like, oh crap, here's this program and it's like $500. And I was like, oh fuck, it's money, all this stuff. And then I would pay it and I had to pay up front. And I was like, oh, and then all of a sudden that moment, things started shifting in my life. Everything started flowing, crazy stuff. People start calling and all this stuff. And I wasn't even in the program yet. I was like, what the hell's happening? And I was like, oh, this is this commitment thing that when you commit, you're throwing your hat over the wall and then you have to go get your hat. So what I do is a little bit different payment-wise, because they are committing to themselves and they're putting that towards themselves. And then they have to live into it. They have to live into that commitment and follow through with it. So, if they're having any sort of hesitancy or, resistance, trying to fully grasp the whole thing before they commit, it's just their old fear-based stuff coming up, to which is exactly why they're stuck in the first place. And the second that we'll have that conversation and they get clear, even if they're not fully like, oh, I get it, they're just like, okay, let me just try this new thing. And they put money toward it and then boom, it shifts.
That's an interesting process for those potential clients and yourself.
Mm-hmm.
When they do commit and you start working with them, is there a certain format that you follow, or do you start with like specific an algorithm, or how does the initial?
Yeah, I don't. It really is. I sort of have an outline. It's kind of like, I don't have like a specific anything, except that there's all this wisdom and all this information that I've gained from all these different courses and all these different things I've done in my own life, to which like translate as we start talking. The only sort of outline I have is that like I start with each person. I'm like, there's a foundation that I start with, which is like, you're only living from one of two places in life in regards to everything and every single thing that you do. And I always ask people that, and I go, do you know what they are? Most of the time they guess and they're usually off. And I'm like, well, it's either love or fear, right? This is the foundation of my coaching, is you're either living from love or fear. And then people look at that and they go, well, wait, what do you mean? Like, no, there's other things. And I'm like, no, there isn't. If you if you boil everything down into every single moment, right, of whether you're answering the door or answering a phone call or paying a bill or getting in your car to drive or sending a text message, if you look deep down within yourself, you will see that there is either a sense of deep, profound peace and calm, which is love when you're doing it, or there is some nervousness or some fear or anger or something going on, which is fear. And that those two paths go completely different directions. If you live from love, it snowballs into more and more epicness and amazingness and love and joy. If you live from any vibration of fear, it just crashes and burns into just worse and worse stuff every time. And I can prove this. I will show you. I don't care who it is. I will break it down and I will show you that that it's love or fear in every single thought and decision that you make in your life. And from that point, from that foundation, then there's all kinds of different things of like books I might have you read, videos I might have you watch. It's just a repertoire of all the downloads that I get, because I get downloads as I'm coaching from all the different things I've done. I just started having insights about where you're at in particular, to which I can literally start to then kind of develop a plan for you, but I can't really do that until we have like the love and fear conversation to see where you're at with yourself, first and foremost, in regards to your family, romantic relationships, money, your spirituality. Like all of it is based on this one thing. And then I start to develop a plan with each person individually, because everybody's at a different point in their life. Everyone's at a different moment in their own healing journey and their awakening. And so I can't do that unless I have that foundational conversation, and then things just start coming to me. Boom, 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 boom. To which then we set up a time. And again, everyone's different. So everybody, I'll set up a coaching program kind of as I'm talking with the person to see like they like to talk in the morning, or they like to talk in the evening, or they want to talk. Like, for example, I have a young man that I'm working with who literally would call me every morning and we talk for 10 minutes. So instead of like an hour block time, he would call me 10 minutes, 10 minutes, 10 minutes, 10 minutes, 10 minutes. And that just worked for him. That also worked for me. So I go with the flow with my clients because I want it to be more in the moment when they have access to me. So like if they're in the middle of like a shitstorm, they can actually call me right then and have an interaction right then. So they don't have to wait. So as long as I'm able to like see, if I see their text, hey, if they're like, can you talk right now? And if I'm not able to, I'll be like, hey, I can talk in 10 minutes. I'll call you right back. Because I want it to be as interactive as possible for them so that they can actually have someone there in the middle of their trial.
That's a unique process.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. How quickly do you think that your clients start to see changes like within themselves?
Usually right after the first conversation of love and fear, because people don't realize how much fear they're living from. And just that conversation just jostles people. That's the very first thing. It just jars them awake because they don't even realize. People think that they're not living from fear, but every single person I've come in contact with since I've done all like my own healing, since I've realized my own realization to how much fear I was living from in my life, it shocked me to see how much fear I was living from. And that if I'm not truly conscious of that process of me actually looking at it before I do anything, no matter how fast it's going, if I don't make sure that it's from love, my automatic default is fear. And that's what everyone's doing. Everyone's automatic default is some level of fear, unless they bring consciousness to it. So it's just automatic. So if I talk to someone and I go, hey, are you living in love or fear? And they go, whoa, love. And they're just fast like that. I'm automatically like, okay, you didn't even process really what I'm saying. And like, really look. Let's really look. Let's look at that. And I'll even ask them, well, how about this? And how about this? And how about this? And they'll go, yeah, but no, but you don't understand. I have kids and I have that and this and I have bills and I have that. And I'm like, yeah. And they go, and I go, how come? How come? And they go, well, because I'm afraid. And I'm like, what'd you say? And they're like, oh, shit. I'm afraid. I didn't even realize that just came out of my mouth, And this is like, it's everybody's default. Way deep down below the surface, people are just living from fear about all kinds of things. It's just a default. So that conversation, the very first conversation, usually rocks everybody because we get into it, we talk about it a lot. It's not just a surface level thing. It is like we go into it to really see like, do you know what that means to live from love and not fear for real in every moment, all the time, every day, all the time, no matter what, that you're consciously choosing love and not fear. And that just is first and foremost boom, blows things up, and then they're like, oh, okay, this is different. I don't know what's happening, but it's different.
How long do you work with people?
I mean, I'll work with them as long as they want to work with me. I just had a bunch of clients graduate and they don't need me anymore, so that's great. But it's like, I worked with them for like 3 months, 4 months, 6 months. It just varies. Usually like in a coaching agreement is usually a standard one's pretty much like 3 months. If somebody's really ready to like dive in, I can just do individual sessions. But if somebody's really ready to like have a massive shift in their life, it's usually like a 3-month agreement. And then if they need more, then they'll just keep extending like another month or 2 months or whatever. And then people can always call me whenever they want to dive in and have a new session.
Okay.
So yeah.
And like, who are your clients? I mean, are you working with just couples or just, like romantic couples, or who are your clients?
No, my clients are, I work with people as young as my nephews who are 15, 16, 17, 18-year-old teenagers, boys and girls. I work with individual girls, like younger women. I've worked with older individual women. I work with couples. I work with a lot of men, and men ranging from, again, 18, 20 years old on up to 70 plus. So it's just a whole range of people I work with. And it's not just about romantic love. It's about communication, is about having it work in your entire life, with business, with family. Can be romantic. But every single aspect, whether you're friends, family, romance, all of it. Self-love has you have the foundational for your own self-love. That with effective communication then makes the insane, bananas, soul-rocking, romantic love possible. That's what makes it possible, is loving yourself first, then having effective communication. That is what then translates, and all of a sudden you'll start having this sensation of romantic love that just blows your freaking doors off. And then you're like, oh shit, this is real. This kind of romantic love is real. It's not this concept, this theoretical concept. It's a real fucking thing that is like, holy shit, I have to keep breathing in because it's so fucking dope. But that's the only way you will get there, is by loving yourself, learning how to communicate effectively, and walking that process every moment of every day, living from love and not fear, and not blowing it up from fear.
You keep referring to your own journey. You talked about your career journey, but not your personal healing journey. What was that like for you?
Oh, my personal healing journey has been the most challenging, gnarly, wild, fucking bananas, epic experience ever. Like I said, I started when I was 21, took a program, went in there, had no idea what it was, blew me the fuck open, where I was like, wait a second, okay, I don't have any idea who I am for real. I don't know why I communicate. I don't know why I talk. I don't know why I open my mouth. I had tons of insecurities about what other people thought about me, people pleasing, all of these things, like insecurities, jealousy issues, like tons of shit. And was shown, like it was like highlighted, like, holy fuck, there's all these things that I didn't have any idea. And then was like, okay, this is scary as fuck and rad as fuck. And I am now something just shifted in me to where I'm like, I'm excited about this. I want to know more about myself, and I want to let go of suffering, and I want to let go of these things that don't serve me anymore. And so I committed my life to this conversation and healing, and then just all the steps that it's taken, and all the weird left and right turns and ups and downs and all the craziness and stuff. And I was on my path, being my love and communication coaching self, starting a talk show based on it, and then in the middle of our talk show getting picked up, and it being like we were on the verge of it being picked up and millions of dollars and fame and the whole thing in our dreams. And my business partner at the time had his own implosion, emotional meltdown, and just it came crashing down, just burned to the ground within like moments, boom. And so, you know, to be humbled in that way, to be so close to success and all of these things we had worked toward, and to be like on the cliff of that, and then to be ripped away, was the most excruciating, crazy thing I've ever experienced. It was like a death, you know, it was literally like a death. And I almost died. I almost didn't make it. I was that rocked because here I am like doing this thing with this person that I really loved and cared about and was so close to, and the very thing in the topic, the thing that we're actually doing is about love and vulnerability and communication and transparency and all of the, you know, the things that we're literally demonstrating and sharing with the world, and it just was gone, just ripped away. And, you know, so I was in devastation and shock because I'm like, well, I should be able to fix this. I'm a loving community. I mean, I should be able to heal this and handle this or whatever. And God had other plans. It was like, no, you're getting your ass handed to you, and this is what's happening, and that's it. And then I was so devastated by that. Then I decided to go and do this plant medicine journey, this DMT journey, and I went and did this journey because I was just so freaking destroyed and couldn't recover, and had this incredible blast off in this DMT journey, and then inadvertently didn't know I could cause harm to myself by doing this, and then had a full-blown Kundalini Awakening, which at the time I didn't even know was a real thing, and opened up my Kundalini. It wouldn't close, and then spent the next 3 years in chronic pain and energetic and chronic pain that just never let up. So for 3 years I literally had to fly back to Colorado. I was going to doctors every other day and everything we could do because I didn't know what was happening to me. I didn't know what had happened, and it was just like, but it just felt like I was being tasered and electrocuted constantly. And so I thought, well, I did it. I blew a gasket. You know, I don't know what I did, but I fucked myself up so bad, and I'm just done. So I was like suicidal every day for 3 years, and it wouldn't stop, wouldn't let up, and you know, I just thought that was it. Like my entire like existence, I was down to like 140 pounds. My psyche, I couldn't really function or feed myself or anything. I was just a fucking like a invalid almost. And all of like for going from being like this almost to the brink of complete success, loving communication coach who's on the verge of like having his talk show nationalized and fame and all this stuff, and then that's gone, and then my physicality's gone, and then my ability to function is gone, and it was all just gone. And then I spent 3 years in a total hell, just holding on for dear life because I promised my mom I wouldn't kill myself. She wouldn't let me, so I was like, okay, I have to find a new level of pain threshold because it was so fucking gnarly that's all I could think about was just ending my life. So for 3 years I was in that state, and she would not let me. She was just ferocious. And she wouldn't let me out of her sight. And I just had to, like, it just taught me new levels of, like, this is why I'm doing what I'm doing now. It's like new levels of surrender, new levels of breathing, new levels of just allowing. But it was really surrender. Like surrender, it taught me what surrender was because I was just in chronic pain constantly. And every 10 seconds, I just had to keep breathing and keep breathing, keep breathing because it just wouldn't fucking let up. And so I was like, well, I don't know what to fucking do. Like, I was literally going crazy because I was in so much pain. And I just had to keep breathing and surrendering and allowing. And but it definitely taught me, you know, I ended up hospitalized twice. And one of the times when I was hospitalized, you know, I'm in a carpeted room and all these things. And, you know, it was just like the most surreal experience of my life, where I went from having like this incredible, dope ass, amazing life to like, I'm in a carpeted room and they take my shoelaces and stuff away so I can't hang myself. And I'm just sitting there and I was like, it was just so surreal. I'm like, this is not real. Like, this is not happening. This cannot be my life. Like, it can't be real. And yet it was. And I was like, I don't know what to do. Like, you know, I can resist this all I want, but I'm here. And then I was like, okay, God, like, if I'm supposed to like get on, you're gonna have to help me here. You're gonna have to help me. Like, I don't know what the fuck's going on. And I just made a promise. I was like, what happened is that the pain and the fear, like, it was bringing up, when I was sitting there, it was like, it would bring up every single fear I had, every old egoic thought, every single doubt, every single thing that I'd ever been afraid of or whatever. And each one just kept coming up in front of my face, like each one, until it would dissolve. And I would just have to look at it. They just kept coming up, each one. And I was like, okay, if I ever get out of here, if I ever get out of this situation and feel even remotely normal again, I'll never go back to this stuff. I will never go back to these thoughts. I will never go back to these sensations. I will never go back, ever. And that was 8 years ago, 7.5 years ago, and I haven't, not for 5 seconds. So it really was like alchemy. It was like lead to gold through the heat. I really went through the heat, and it was to show me, like, you can actually let these things go. Not metaphorically, literally. You can literally let go of these fears, all of these egoic, fucked up, crazy thoughts, all the fucked up, crazy thoughts we have. You can literally dissolve them and let them go. And so that's what happened to me, was that I made that promise, and I was like, if I ever get out of here, I will never go back to that way of thinking again. And then I haven't. And so, you know, I think the reason my coaching is translating to people, specifically now with all this fear and stuff that's going on, is because I went through something like extraordinary, something like beyond any of my own comprehension that I could have ever had, ever. You know, I never even knew that level of suffering and where I was going through was possible in the length of time that I had to do it to go through it. But now, looking back in hindsight, I'm like, it makes total sense. You know, it's complete sense as to why I had to go to that new level of suffering to come out the other side, to then be able to hold space for people who are struggling, who've been through crazy things, gnarly things, wild, deeply challenging things, that they have someone who's also walked that path that can hold space for them. So they know that they know it's a real thing. It's not some fucking fantasy, not a made up thing. That healing is real and it's possible.
That's powerful. That's powerful.
Thank you. Mm-hmm.
I mean, with your long and dynamic career in this, you've had so many conversations with so many people, so many men and women and young people, and with your TV show and your talk show on the radio, and then your coaching career, you've been carrying this conversation about healing for 20 years, but before that, even, you were doing this type of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
How do you keep going? Because this work is soul work and heart work, and it's exhausting. How do you keep going?
You know, the truth is it doesn't even occur as really as work to me. It's just, you know, there's nothing more gratifying than helping people literally let go of suffering. There's nothing more there's nothing I find more that I have more gratitude for. You know, when I help someone release suffering on any level, it's just like a celebration. It's a freaking, you know, it is, my soul just explodes in joy, because I remember how bad I was suffering. And when other people were able to help me and hold space for me, and, you know, it helped me free myself. It's just like, it's like the same thing of like when you're down deep and you're drowning and you're swimming toward the top, and you finally get there and you're just like, and you have that huge deep breath of, you know, air coming back in. And when it's like that for places in your life where you didn't think it was possible, you literally quietly are like, that will never change. That particular thing, this thing will never heal. That quietly to yourself, you're feeling that, you're thinking that. But then you start to realize, oh wait, it actually can shift. That can actually heal. And you're like, holy fuck, no way. No fucking way. So that never gets old, ever. I love helping people heal, free themselves from suffering, find their raw joy again, like as a little kid, but as an adult, and then go to celebrate life, really celebrate their life in the way that they always wanted to, but maybe it always held back, had always judged themselves, or listen, they still have conversations with their parents or whoever that's judging them or telling them no or whatever. You know, that you are like, I'm healing for me, and I'm gonna now live my life balls to the wall for myself, based on my self-love and my truth and love. No more fear, no more fear, just love. And now I'm gonna live this, be present, and actually live this life balls to the wall, full out, no apologies. So that doesn't ever get old for me. And I talk to people literally, I mean, sometimes, you know, numerous times a day, hours and hours and hours. I've learned to manage to take care of myself and my own energy, and I manage it. It just is not even a thing. It's just, you know, as we hold space for each other on this earth, and we hold this frequency and we help each other heal, it just gets better and better and better. So it's like a marathon. It doesn't ever end. Healing never ends. It's not like you get there, you're not getting someplace. We're always just like, it's just this long marathon that never ends, to which it's fucking rad as fuck once you just settle in and you go, this doesn't end. Healing never ends. Life doesn't end until you leave this physical body. So just settle in, stop trying to get somewhere, love, create, manifest, do all the fun things you want to do, be present wherever you're at. It's like one of the leaders who, you know, when I was taking a course said, he would say really loud, he'd be like, be where you are when you're there. And everybody would like look around. He's like, be where you are when you're there. And I was like, oh, fuck. That is so profound. Because we're always when you're there and then you're someplace else. You're at your office, but you're thinking about this. You're with your wife, but you're thinking about your office. They're always someplace else rather than being where they are. And just that one thing will make you be present. And then you'll just be where you are. If you're in your car, be in your car driving. Enjoy the fucking driving. If you're jogging, jog and run and enjoy jogging. If you're with your lover, be with your lover and be there, fully present. Wherever you are, be where you are when you're there. And it'll calm your mind and it brings you back to presence. And just that alone just like changes everything. So it just doesn't ever get old. It's just fun. And I love just helping people free themselves from suffering. It's just, I suffered so fucking gnarly for so many years, like fucking gnarly, like deep down, crazy ass fucking suffering that people didn't know. And I did, so I could take it apart, like moment by moment, piece by piece, like a mechanic in a car. Like I know every motherfucking angle of it, of the suffering that I had in all my humanity. And I did that so that I could help. I didn't know I was doing it, but that's what I did so I could help other people do the same thing. So there's like not 1 ounce of anything I did not look at or feel or experience or dive into. There's not one. I fucking sat in that shit in every angle that would come at me, and I still continue to do so. If there's anything that needs to come through me, I'm still open to it. It's not like this thing where I'm like, oh yeah, I got it now. No, it's an ongoing thing, but I have done the work to free myself, and I really am free. And so if people want to free themselves from suffering, I can help them.
There's a lot of people that are thankful for your journey and why you do it. Entering into your 50th year, your rebirth, as you're saying.
Yeah.
What is your intention for the future?
Well, I would say turning 50 is like a huge milestone as a man and as a human being, to let go of like even the construct or the thought about what 50 is, the years, you know, just letting that go, just going, okay, I'm, 5-0 in the earth time we've created. It's still really dope to step into becoming a man, like a healthy masculine man, more and more and more every day, to where you're living from a place of your heart and open love to help the feminine heal, to help relationships heal, to help families heal, to be a living example of a healthy man in the world, where you're not thinking with your dick. You're not trying to just get money. You're not out to like compete in egoic way and like take shit and like, I'm fucking awesome or blah, blah. It's like, no, I realize that the more I help others, the more I actually get back, like in the most wild ways, like ways you can't even make up, The more I share my gift, the more love just keeps coming, the more love in all the ways, and it just fills me up because I'm giving from overflow. I'm not giving from lack. I'm giving from overflow. And so being 50 and living as a conscious man feels just incredible. It feels like I'm walking my path with God, and I'm being the best person and man I can be as an example, and I also get to fucking enjoy everything on this planet and all of the things of the 3D world and the earth and 3D and 4D and 5D and all of the different dimensions that are just continuing to blow my own mind open of how incredible this experience is that I came here to have right now.
That's a pretty great intention. Thank you. That was my last question. Is there anything else you would like to say?
Thank you for doing this with me. I appreciate your intentionality and everything that you do. Thanks for doing this with me. I would just say, anybody who's looking for assistance in healing and learning how to communicate more effectively, and just the most simple things of whether it's in your own life for yourself, if it's in business, if it's in in corporate settings with other people and businesses and stuff, this level of self-love and then communication translates everywhere. And so if you're looking for that and you really want a more hands-on interpersonal experience with someone like me, who it's not like where we have this, it's not like, oh, we only talk for an hour on Tuesday, where it's way more interactive and flowing in that way, then I would say, to get in contact with me, because I will help you.
Thank you.
Yeah.